condition of saying Bismillah in order for meat to be halal. What is the ruling on saying Bismillah over the slaughtering, especially if the slaughterman does not pray? Praise be to Allah. Meat slaughtered by one who does not pray is not halal, whether he says the name of Allah over it or not. With regard to saying Bismillah when slaughtering meat, the fuqaha differed concerning that, and there are 3 points of view. One, that it is mustahab only, which is the view of al-Shafi. 2, that it is a condition of the meat being halal, but if a person forgets it by mistake, it is still permissible. This is the view of the Hanafis, Malikis and Hanbalis. 3, that it is essential and cannot be waived under any circumstances, whether it is omitted by mistake or deliberately or out of ignorance. This is the view of the Jahiris and was narrated from Malik and Ahmed, and it was the view of some of the Salaf. It was also the view favored by Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, Shaykh Ibn Uthman, may Allah have mercy on him, said it is the correct view. He also said they quoted as evidence the general meaning of the verse in which Allah says, interpretation of the meaning, it not, O believers, of that meat on which Allah's name has not been pronounced at the time of the slaughtering of the animal. Al-An'am verse 6, Al-An'am chapter 6 verse 121. And the Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, said, if the blood flows and the name of Allah is mentioned, then eat. So in order for the meat to be halal, it is essential that the name of Allah be mentioned. It is well known that if the condition is not met, the thing is invalid. So if the name of Allah is not mentioned, the meat is not halal, as with any other condition. Hence, if a person prays but he forgot to do wudu, he says to repeat the prayer. Similarly, if he prays not realizing that he had broken his wudu, because he thought that breaking wind does not invalid wudu, or that eating camel meat does not invalid wudu, for example, then he must repeat it, because the thing is not valid without the conditions being met. So if he slaughtered it but the blood did not flow by mistake or out of ignorance, then it is not halal. And the same applies if he does not mention the name of Allah, because it is mentioned in the same hadith. End quote from Al-Shar al-Mumti 6/358. See also Al-Inayah Shar al-Hidayah 9/489, Al-Fawaqi al-Dawani 1/382, and Al-Majmu 8/387. Based on this, he should not slaughter sacrifices or anything else unless he is one of those who pray regularly, and it is essential that he mentions the name of Allah when the slaughtering and says Bismillah in the name of Allah. It is also mustahab to say takbir, so he should say Bismillah wa Allahu Akbar in the name of Allah, and Allah is most great. Al-Bukhaari 5558 and Muslim 1966 narrated that Anas, may Allah be pleased with him, said, the messengers of Allah, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, sacrificed 2 horned black and white rams. I saw him placing his foot on their sides, and he said the name of Allah, and he said takbir. Then he slaughtered them with his own hand, and Allah knows best. Question: I would like to ask what we should do if my brother does not pray, so he is regarded as a kafir according to Sharia. Can we eat meat that is slaughtered by him or not? Praise be to Allah. What you have to do is to advise your brother to pray regularly and tell him of the ruling of Allah concerning one who does not pray. Do not let him slaughter the meat for you himself, and tell him the reason why. which is that the one who does not pray is regarded as a kafir, so meat slaughtered by him is not halal. Perhaps knowing the ruling will have an effect on him and he will come back to his religion and start to pray regularly. This will be better for him in his religious and worldly affairs in this world and in the hereafter. Shaykh Abdul Al-Aziz ibn Baz, may Allah have mercy on him, was asked, is it permissible to eat meat slaughtered by one who deliberately does not pray, knowing that if he is told of that he will claim that he says the Shahada? What should we do if we cannot find any butcher who does pray? He replied, if a person does not pray, we should not eat meat slaughtered by him. This is the correct view, because the Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, said, between a man and shirk and kufr there stand his giving up prayer. Narrated by Muslim in his Saheeh from Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, may Allah be pleased with him. And the Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, said, the covenant that stands between us and them is prayer. Whoever does not pray is a kafir. Narrated by Imam Ahmad and the four authors of Sunan with a Sahih isnad from Buraida ibn al-Husayb, may Allah be pleased with him. And he said, the head of the matter in Islam and its pillar is prayer. Narrated by Imam Ahmad and Al-Tirmidhi with a Sahih isnad from Muad ibn Jabal, may Allah be pleased with him. If the pillar of a thing falls, it cannot stand straight or remain. When the pillar falls, whatever rests on it falls too. Thus it is known that the one who does not pray has no religion. So meat slaughtered by him cannot be eaten. If you are living in a land where there are no Muslim butchers, you should slaughter your own meat and use your own hands to do something that will be benefit to you. Or look for a Muslim butcher to slaughter meat for you even in his own house. Praise be to Allah, this is something easy, so you should not be heedless about this matter. You should advise this man to fear Allah and pray. His suggestion that the Shahadatain is sufficient is a serious mistake, because the Shahadatain come with condition that must be fulfilled. As the Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, said, I have been ordered to fight the people until they bear witness that there is no God except Allah, and that I am the messengers of Allah, and establish regular prayer and pay zakah. If they do that, then their blood and wealth are safe from me, except in cases dictated by Islamic law, and their reckoning will be with Allah. Saheeh, agreed upon, Bukhari and Muslim. According to another version, I have been commanded to fight the people until they say La ilaha illallah, and if they say La ilaha illallah, then their blood and wealth are safe from me, except in cases dictated by Islamic law, and their reckoning will be with Allah. Prayer is one of these conditions, and zakah is one of these conditions. What the believer must do is fear Allah, and everyone who claims to be a Muslim must fear Allah and offer the 5 prayers regularly, for prayer is the foundation of Islam, and it is the greatest of the 5 pillars of Islam after the Shahadatain. Whoever neglects it neglects his religious commitment, and whoever does not pray has left the faith. We ask Allah to keep us safe and sound. This is the truth, and this is what is correct. Some of the scholars said that such a person is not a kafir in the sense of major kufr. Rather, his kufr is minor kufr, and he is a sinner who has committed a grave sin, one that is worse than adultery, worse than stealing, worse than drinking alcohol. But he is not a kafir in the sense of major kufr unless he denies the prayer is obligatory. This is the view of a number of scholars. But the correct view is that which is indicated by the words of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, which is that such a person is a kafir in the sense of major kufr, as stated in the hadith quoted above, because he has neglected the pillar or foundation of Islam, which is prayer. We should not take this matter lightly. Abdullah ibn Shaqiq al-Aqili, the great Tabi, may Allah have mercy on him, said, the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, did not regard the omission of anything as being kufr except in the case of prayer. And he mentioned that the Sahaba were unanimously agreed that the one who did not pray was a kafir in their view. We ask Allah to keep us safe and sound. So we must be careful and adhere to this important obligation and not take the matter lightly. If someone does not pray, we should not eat meat slaughtered by him or invite him to any feasts or accept his invitation. Rather, he should be shunned until he repents to Allah and starts to pray. We ask Allah to guide us all. End quote. Majmu Fatwa al-Shaykh Ibn Baz, 10 by 274 to 276, and Allah knows best. To get new episodes, click subscribe button.